Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and in today's video I am comparing the Nintendo 3DS to the PS Vita. Previously I did a video comparing the original DS to the original PSP, so I thought why not step it up a generation and compare the 3DS to the PS Vita. So I'm going to be comparing first gen models, so that's going to be the original 3DS versus the PlayStation Vita 1000, should we call it? The fat model. Let's look at CPUs. So the original 3DS was released in 2011 and the Vita was released in 2012. CPU wise, the 3DS has a 268 MHz single core ARM11 processor. Now when it comes to the Vita, there's lots of myths around it, that it had a 1.4 GHz processor, that it was capable of 2 GHz, but it actually clocks at 333 MHz, could be pushed to 444, and it has a quad-core ARM Cortex A9 processor. Let's look at RAM. The 3DS has 128 meg of RAM versus 512 meg in the PlayStation Vita. Video RAM, the 3DS has 6 meg of video RAM versus the 128 meg in the PlayStation Vita. So just off of those back, you can see just how much more powerful and capable the Vita is over the 3DS. At screen size, the 3DS obviously has two screens, a 3.5 inch and a 3 inch. The PlayStation Vita has a 5 inch screen. Resolution, well, bottom screen on the 3DS is 320 by 240 and the top screen is 800 by 240, but I think that drops if you put the 3D on, so it splits it across both eyes. The Vita screen, absolutely gorgeous screen, has a 960 by 544 and it is an HD screen, so hands down the screen on the Vita is far more impressive than the 3DS. Both take game cartridges, so there's not much to compare there. Connectivity, the 3DS has Wi-Fi, 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi, and it's B&G capable, whereas the Vita has BG and N capability. The 3DS has infrared and the Vita has Bluetooth. If we look at battery, then the 3DS has a 1300 mAh battery, the Vita has a 2210 mAh battery. While that seems like it's almost twice the size in the Vita versus the 3DS, they both perform about 5 to 6 hours gameplay, so the sheer power of the Vita knocks down the battery life compared to the 3DS. Both systems have 0.3 megapixel cameras, and I think you've got two on there. You've got at least one on the front of the Vita, I think there's one on the back, and you've got two on a 3DS. And that is about it. If we're looking at the most popular game, Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS is the biggest selling title, and Uncharted Golden Abyss is the biggest selling PlayStation Vita game. Really similar to the DS and the PSP, the Sony's offering is far more powerful, and it was aimed at being a portable home console rather than just a portable console. Nintendo always seemed to, with their portable consoles, go for battery life and it being a counterpart, so you didn't get full-blown titles from whatever was about at the time, the GameCube and the Wii and the Wii U. On the 3DS it was more cut down titles, a little less with the 3DS because it had more power and it was more capable of 3D titles. You did see some home titles ported across to the 3DS, but they were relatively cut down. With the Vita, no, full out. This is going to be a home console sandwiched in sort of PS2 and PS3 era, and we're going to push some mainstream titles. Like I said, you've got Uncharted Golden Abyss, you've got God of War, there was Killzone, there was some real heavy hitting titles that just showed how powerful the Vita was. So that is a brief roundup of original 3DS versus original Vita, and it is up to you which one you prefer. The 3DS was far more successful, had a huge game library, plus it could also play DS games, so it just made what you could play on a 3DS massive. The Vita had a very poor game library in terms of number of games released, but the games that did come out were absolutely fantastic, and it is a real shame because I'm a big fan of, well, big fan of the 3DS, but also a massive fan of the Vita, and it is such a shame that it didn't do as well as it did, because it was an awesome console, and there's lots of reasons why it didn't do as well. Price and game selection was one of them. So, like I say, that is a quick comparison, hardware-wise at least, of the original 3DS and the original PlayStation Vita. Let me know what you prefer. Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.